McFarlane with a big job on him, as you can see. Interesting pav into the middle. Good move, I think, from Ross Lyon. Get the big body in with the Hawks' big bodies.
We're underway at Launceston. Hale against Sandlands. Whitecross weaves his way through some traffic. Handball left a little bit to be desired. And Hale wins himself a free kick.
Zach Dawson's picked up Jordan Roughead. Luke McFarlane is on Lance Franklin.
Lewis.
Sandlands very quickly, loose in defence.
Roughead wants it long towards the square. Dawson on him, as Jason told you, but he squeezes it wide, looking for Rioli. Mzungu held that long enough.
And that's why they're so difficult to score against the Fremantle Dockers. They get the numbers back, they get them in a difficult position and make you force you wide. And that was a good intercept mark. And here's the rebound.
Michael Johnson to the Pav. Matthew Pavlich about to kick it to where he'd like to be. At half forward, had to come up to half back, but it's always nice to get a touch early, regardless of where you get it.
Just his first centre bounce. Not sure whether Ruckman should be able to take their eye off the ball as David Hale does there. Kicks him out. I mean, that's just got to be a free kick.
I think you've picked one there, Jared.
Yep.
The umpires let him get away with one there for sure. Sewell to Mitchell. He's averaging 26 possessions a game again this year, Sam Mitchell, so been in reasonable form. Young playing game 100 for the Hawks this afternoon is Clinton Young, and Franklin in 150th. Can't track this one, we'll get a ball in.
David King on the boundary. I notice Hayden Ballantyne back in the dangerous zone, close to goal.
Yeah, they need his class down forward, Jared. There's no doubt about that. And I think the mental challenge for the Hawks here of having to play ugly for a little while, just while the Fremantle Dockers get their numbers back, is a challenge.
And while we're talking of milestones, Hayden Ballantyne playing game 50 for the Dockers this afternoon. Johnson, will he let that go? Mzungu mops up that little mess to Hill. Mzungu caught, dumped, and almost threw it away. Umpire lets it run. Spur can't break free with it. No prior opportunity necessarily. Lewis has the flying shot from 48, but it's a wild attempt out on the full.
Bit of a lesson there for Spur. He was waiting for the umpire to blow the whistle, and in the meantime, the ball was ripped out of his arms and it nearly cost the Dockers a goal.
Jordan Lewis looks like he's got the job of running with Stephen Hill.
Clancy Pearce being given this a free off the ball, so the mark to Crowley will not count.
And another key matchup, Stalemate, who has been under the pump early in the season, but really is starting to put some form together up against Chris Mayne, who's been one of the Dockers' best this year.
Pavlich all the way down to half back for another possession. Arm chop free, but held the mark regardless. Hugs the boundary. Shellmakers and Mayne were both there. Gibson back into the team this week to Birchall. Has a more familiar look about it at the moment, their defence this round for the Hawks. Gillum toward Franklin. He threw that down to Mitchell, got away with it. Get a ball in. So McFarlane with that job on Lance Franklin. He knows Lance Franklin fairly well. Luke McFarlane, given he was a former Hawk in another life. Hill, Ibbotson, Broughton, caught by Rioli. Crowley, so an untidy start to this. Strap keeps it in front. Neal tried to worry him out of it. Gillum searches for the line and finds it.
Well, both teams have got it loose behind the ball at the moment. You've got Michael Johnson at one end for the Dockers, and that suits the Dockers. They love to have that spare, but also it releases Josh Gibson or Grant Birchall at the other end at different stages, and the Hawks won't be unhappy with that either.
To the back, Lewis, another possession. Young smothered. Pavlich jumped on. Umpire allowed it to run. Shields rolls it wide. Johnson gets there before Franklin, and he finds the line.
Big challenge for Johnson, been in good form up against Buddy Franklin, and he won't be unhappy if Buddy's right down there getting his possessions. It'll be someone else's problem if he kicks it to Jared Roughead.
Yeah, he's averaging 22 possessions a game as well, Michael Johnson, so he's getting plenty of it himself, and that's ball. Dragged it in was the umpire's call. Young likes to kick long, and he does this time. Roughead caught behind, though, and Broughton drops in the hole with protection from Dawson.
Well, when you've got loose players playing behind the ball, the key issue becomes use of the footy and decision-making, and the Hawks just haven't quite worked it out yet.
2-on-1 here, the Hawks with the 2. Whitecross, the second of the 2. And there's the loose. Johnson plays on McFarlane.
Finding him beautifully, the loose man.
Why doesn't Jared Ruffhead come up and sit on top of Johnson there, Jason, just to make sure there is a contest?
Look, it is an option, but I think the priority for the Hawks is to run and carry the ball and not kick it to that loose, but to kick it over the top to where Ruffhead's in a one-on-one contest.
Main, Crowley, Pearce, little fumble, Hill. Sidestep was good. Finds Neil with the handball. Crowley, 50 from goal to Robert, and bang! Birchall lined him up and put him down big time. He bounced up though like a rubber ball. He's fine. Sam Mitchell tries to knock it down. Pearce steals it back. Clark towards full forward. Bouncing ball. Well attacked by Gibson.
Really well played.
To Gillum and to the open side. They can run. Isaac Smith has a bounce. He's got Ruffhead on the lead up. He ignores that. He wants to go longer. Not a lot to go to now.
This is a great chase from Barlow from behind. Unrewarded, but he ends up putting the pressure on.
Whitecross, Hale, Young.
Now they've got one out contests.
Okay, Franklin on the run. Got it. And a good pluck for his first attempt.
Still running hard.
So Rioli and Duffield in a one-on-one. Make that a one-on-two. Broughton jumped in the middle of it, and Rioli was held a little. The crowd sensed it.
Dwayne, interesting, the game's been going 6 minutes and we've got Ballantyne just coming back onto the ground now. We got trapped on the bench for about 4 minutes there, just when they had that forward thrust. That's when they need him down forward. Just a little bit unlucky there, Fremantle, but you wonder why a player comes off for that period of time so early in the game.
Just happy to be seeing him in the forward line. He's been tagged out of it the last few weeks.
Pearce floats it wide. De Boer takes possession, pokes it to Crowley. And after 6.5 scoreless minutes to open this game, it's worked well for Fremantle. They don't mind a 0-0 draw under Ross Lyon. And the first deliberate shot at goal for them coming up with Ryan Crowley.
It's one of his great strengths. We know he can tag, and he can tag big names, goes forward, and so often kicks goals.
From the paint of the 50, strikes it well, but the breeze plays with it. If anything, Fremantle kicking with a breeze in this opening term.
I'm not sure it's a huge advantage, the breeze, but certainly made the distance pretty comfortably from the 50-metre arc there, Ryan Crowley.
And here's the Fremantle press at play. Let's see how the Hawks' kicking game goes against it.
Sean Burgoyne entrusted with the kick in. Heads long. Hale, Sandilands, Broughton, Barlow, Mundy, Pavlich. His first shot. This will work back. Post.
I thought that was an interesting decision from Sean Burgoyne to kick to where Aaron Sandilands is up against David Hale, giving away a distinct height advantage.
Two genuine opportunities. Not a lot of pressure there for Pav, and certainly Ryan Crowley's also should have gone through.
Schoenmaker's up. Just misjudged that slightly, but takes it to the line. Ball in. There's Hayden Ballantyne not having the best of years in comparison to one of his superstar games of 2011, but having game 50 will be a big one. Crowley, Pearce, Barlow, and Josh Gibson again. Missed a couple of games with that ankle injury, Josh Gibson. Welcome inclusion again today. Young from half back. Floats one a little. Sandilands gets in the hole and easy.
Good stuff from Sandilands. Notice Matty De Boer, who's been one of the better pressure players in the forward 50 this year, is tracking Gibson now.
Broughton's on the wing in some space.
One-on-ones in the forward line.
Pavlich the target and cut off by Ryan Schoenmakers, whose intercept possession numbers are pretty high this year. He's having a better season than most have given him credit for. Mitchell shrugs that tackle way too easily.
Shocking. Should have been gone cold.
To Franklin, to Stratton, to Franklin again. Brewster's calling for it. He's on the move. Franklin goes to him and position A.
Well, the whole footy world knows that that was an opportunity missed by the Fremantle Dockers with a really poor missed tackle. He should have been buried, Mitchell.
Just went too high, Zach Clark. I mean, he's not an overly tall man, Sam Mitchell. You've got to go down around the hips, but he had him cold.
Tackled with his arms instead of getting his legs and his hips and his shoulder into him.
And as much as Franklin probably knew that lead could have been to a better spot, he had to honour it, and another lead is on it in the pocket. Isaac Smith.
Not easy tight kicks from the pocket, particularly at this end of Aurora.
No boomerang.
4 goals this year, and he can't bring that back quite enough. Only behind. The crowd went up. He looked on target for a second. There's Alistair Clarkson. Good record here, the Hawks. This is their home game, of course, down here in Launceston. They're home away from home.
Not sure we're going to get a shootout, Jared.
Just thinking that, Jason, we're getting exactly what we thought we might, and that's a really tight Indian arm wrestle. Dockers appear to as if they've coped with the travel well. They're here to play.
Duffield straight down the middle. Mzungu handballed into the congestion. Mundy, Neal, back to Mzungu. Gang tackle.
That's the difference between a training drill and when you're playing real opposition. That was just a non-thinking handball.
Just the Mzungu hand pass back into where the ball had just come from, into traffic.
Defied logic.
Flick down. Sewell half jumped on by Mundy. Saw Ross Lyon on screen. He'd be reasonably happy with the 5-win, 2-loss start for the Dockers. In 6th place on the AFL ladder. His first season at the helm.
De Boer's pushed now onto Burgoyne.
Rioli tried to take it and go. Sewell likewise, but gets dragged down.
Now, long kick's not going to help them here because the Hawks have got an extra defender sitting behind Pav. If Pav's got a 2-on-1 situation, you can just see there now that the other end of the ground, Mitchell trying to get involved and give a block for Buddy Franklin.
Roughhead beaten by Sandlands there and had no opportunity to get the ball himself, so pushed Sandlands out. Free kick to Broughton, straight down the middle. Good movement this. Main wants it long. That lead ignored, and he floats it up instead in the De Boer direction, and Gillum should cut this off.
Well, that's just a...
That's 50 against Pavlich. He just didn't clear the area at all. Wasn't the best of kicks from Greg Broughton going forward. He had 2 bounces. He didn't see anything, but in the end, out of frustration, he blazed away.
Yeah, sometimes the bounce actually robs you of your vision. He put his head down and bounced, and he missed the opportunity that had already presented itself with Main breaking.
So quick play on Young. Pops it to the top of the square. Franklin's down there. Dawson and Johnson. Johnson's fist wins out. Puopolo.
He slid in.
Okay.
That's extraordinary. He tried to do it as carefully as he could, Paul Puopolo, and it didn't look like he actually made contact with anyone, but that's the rule that the umpires are hot on, the match review panel's hot on, the AFL's hot on, everyone's hot on it.
You'd rather they only pay that for a dangerous slide, though.
Yep.
That didn't look dangerous,
No.
that slide. Puopolo beaten for it by Johnson in the pocket.
The Hawks are playing Fremantle's game here. They're just kicking pretty much straight to that loose man on more occasions than not. They're not chipping the ball around the top of 50 at the moment, just really orchestrating a positive inside 50. It's just a dumped kick at the moment. They just need to get their composure back.
And that isn't an alteration to a current rule. That is a simple change of a rule, the way that was interpreted there. That's never been a free in 150 years of football, that jump on your knees to get the ball. Unless it's dangerous and you hurt somebody in the process, or do it to an extreme dangerous style, like kicking in danger has been paid over time. Hale with a free.
Been a little clumsy early, Zach Clark.
And not too sure what he was doing there, tried to manufacture something to Shields.
2-on-1.
Puopolo and Johnson beats them both.
Trouble is, they were both smalls, and there was one tall back, which was Johnson.
Terrible kick, straight through spur.
Good hands.
Stratton, Proust, White cross, he ducked into that tackle, back to Proust, has the outrider Young. This is right in his wheelhouse. From there, on the left, across the face.
They had plenty of time.
Yeah, just a multitude of mistakes after Johnson took a fantastic mark. Let's take a look at this slide once again. Not allowed to slide into contests.
No, I guess
that's how it's interpreted.
He did take his legs out, looking at that on replay, so may not have been as bad a decision as it looked.
You understand
initially.
you can understand why the umpire paid it. It just feels like we're heading to a time when you're not allowed to slide on the ground at all. And you can see how carefully he did actually try to slide in to get the ball.
He did take the guy's leg, so
Yep.
I think in that case maybe that's exactly what the AFL is after. McFarlane just pokes that to Mundy.
Good kick.
Yeah, really good kick.
And a perfect smother as well from Roughhead. So we've played 15 goalless minutes here at Aurora Stadium. And this is going to plan for Fremantle. Kind of game they want. Sandlands to Mundy under pressure. Clark to the boundary to Hill in some space. A floater cut off by Birchall.
And if you've just joined us and you think you're looking at an old-fashioned kick-to-kick end-to-end, you may be right.
That's 50.
And 50 again. He faked to play on, but he didn't go off his line, and Young can have a shot.
Yeah, well, that was, I think, one of the most contentious things about last night. Josh Hunt, I thought, was entitled to take that tackle last night because when you feign a handball to a bloke running past, I mean, what are you supposed to do? Just allow him to handball the ball?
Well, Young slips over, and as you're right, he doesn't move off his mark, and Ballantyne comes into the protected area.
No, I think that one was different to last night.
From directly out, that's what he has ahead of him. Bends it back a little, but too late.
That's what lets him down consistently. Clinton Young, the opportunity to kick goals, and all too often he doesn't finish off.
Hawks might have to get a goal-kicking expert in, Jason.
Yeah, do you know anybody that's kicked 1,254 goals at all, Jared?
They might need more than that.
Duffield from the back pocket to the outer side. Sandland's ball, he was held.
His height's really creating some issues.
As it should. I mean, that's the great strength he's got, and they've got to use it more and more.
Neal, beaten by the old head, Mitchell. Young again. Pops it to the top of the square. Puopolo. Johnson with the reach and the height. Roughhead in the spot. A Rovers goal from Big Ruffy.
Well, I think we're seeing football of the modern era, Jerry. We saw Puopolo contesting the mark against the tall, and then Roughhead crumbing the ball and kicking the goal. That was quite extraordinary.
One of the great ironies. When the ball used to be go up and down, we used to train in circle work. Now the ball goes in circles and we train up and down. And that is also one of the great ironies, as you said. Small man involved in a long marking contest. Big man does the roving. Let's see how David Hale copes with the height of Aaron Sandlands this time. Still got to make the ball his objective.
Good bounce. Sandland's up early and the flick. Mitchell pounces to half forward again. The Hawks. Bruce to get and go on the run. Left foot. Roughhead's the man. Thumped away by Dawson. He held his ground. He held his feet.
Gee, did well there, Zach Dawson. That's a terrific one-on-one spoil.
Duffield wide. Gillum, Stratton, Birchall, Sewell, Gibson, the old firm, hold firm, Sean Makers. Little wobbly, made Shields work for it. But they play the open side now. Isaac Smith back inboard.
Dockers have already got their zone defence set. Pretty much man on man though, Dwayne. Just McFarlane floating loose.
Hawthorn don't mind playing the possession game, the 30-metre pass game. Long kick though. Rioli can't get the run at it. White cross down to Roughhead, who crumbed it again. Couldn't get the ball on the boot this time. Crowley, Muzungu. And a little bit of overcommitment from Suckling. Took an arm.
Yep, took the arm instead of the ball.
So Robertson to take the free.
This has been the problem. This next kick here, they haven't had it down the line tall, just present themselves. Sandland's making his way there now. They've tried to come in board on occasion and turn this one over. They just need a big presence.
Robertson, Clark up, got hands on it, should have completed it. Ball in.
They've just got to find a way to make more of the great height of Sandlands. Let's go back to the last centre bounce. Clear tap. To who? To Sam Mitchell. I mean, they have got to be able to communicate better with the great strength of Sandlands and the development of the blokes at the bottom.
Splendid smother that. He kept it in front. Pearce's kick, stolen by Mitchell. To Rioli, tucked up against the boundary and plays on with a quick hack forward. Could have shown some more poise there. And a ball in. A defender does that, it's almost deemed deliberate. But the forward does it, it's okay. There was no one in the vicinity when it went out. Rioli again. Lewis Up against the boundary, Broughton on the goal line. Playing into Fremantle's hands right now, even though they lead by 7. Stratton, third man up, blocked it nicely. Gibson. And they're all beaten for it again. Neil.
That kick coming inside the attacking 50 for Hawthorn. They're just not selecting the right option. They're kicking to outnumbered contests.
Lee Spur, I should say. Short to McFarlane.
And he's done a pretty good job so far on Cyril Rioli, Spur.
Gillum. Stratton. It's away from Main, who hasn't seen it yet. Gibson. Quick handoff Smith to Mitchell. Hale.
You just wonder how long this structure by the Fremantle Dockers can hold up here, guys, because this is just going back to inside their attacking area consistently on rebound.
Duffield knocks it down. Rough head, dragged down by Duffield. Sewell breaks a tackle. Needs a pass target. Rioli and Brust combine. Brust, he weaves some magic there. Hard to seize and kick the goal.
Now, it's a great call from David King, just looking at the inside 50s. 5-17. It is a matter of holding back the tide. And right now, the Hawks out to a 13-point lead, kicking into just a small breeze, a little bit of an assist behind the kicks, but just broke through the tackle. But it was holding back the tide. This is a pretty handy way to finish the quarter.
Yeah, he's done a good job on Rioli, Spur, but probably like to have a crack at that tackle again.
Fremantle's brick wall game plan not serving them well there. A couple of goals to the Hawks. Fremantle like to defend. They concede on average this year 72 points a game. So roughly 10 goals, 11 goals a game Fremantle concede, and that's it.
It's mainly done by locking the ball in their forward half, though, Dwayne. That's been the problem here. 8 clearances to 4 as there's a bit of a scuffle with Cyril at full forward. They're not getting the game played on their terms at the moment, Fremantle.
And stolen again by Whitecross. So the Hawks to half forward and some space this time. Bounces kindly. Little flick down towards Young. Didn't quite work for him. Brust tries to get it back.
Tackle from Pearce.
De Boer, Barlow, Muzungu, Johnson, Duffield. De Boer. 3.5 minutes left. Fremantle to Pavlich. Dawson's drifted down. It's ignored though. And nicely to Mundy from 50, well within range. And another miss.
Well, I wonder if the Hawks will dine out on what they've seen from Freo. Each of their 3 kicks have been pushed right. Now, they may well have just been 3 poor kicks, but if there is any impact of the wind, maybe that's helping as well.
Guerra to the outer side. Stratton. Smith.
If you're going to play this counter-attack style of footy, though, Kingy, you just absolutely have to nail your opportunities. And if you've gone in 6 times, they've had 3 genuine chances to kick goals.
Yeah, exactly right, Jared. They'll struggle to get a mark inside 50 at the moment. They don't have any tall representation down there. At the moment, it just looks like it's going to be a training drill for the Hawks. They need to start winning some contested footy on the wings out wide and then having some tall representation as Zach Clark pushes forward now.
The Hawthorn won't mind Matthew Pavlich getting balls at half-back. Bangs it long, hoping. Dawson. Got hands on it. Should have completed it. The ex-Hawk.
He looks like he's spending a bit of time forward as well, Dawson. They've got plenty of tools down back.
14 games for Hawthorn in his 5 seasons there. Was there in the premiership year, but didn't play a game for Hawthorn in the Hawks premiership year.
Well, you can see why they're chasing Travis Cloak, if in fact that is the case. He'd be handy to have sitting in the goal square, play counter-attack and just kick the ball long to Cloak.
Free kick to Suckling. Didn't have possession and we're down to 2 minutes. So Fremantle might be playing for a 0-0 draw, but unfortunately for them, they're the ones with 0 in the goal column right now, and they've kicked with a breeze in this opening term. Young He's had plenty of it, even if he's been inaccurate. Stratton, Franklin, almost run down from behind. Crowd gave him the warning there. Rioli flicked it on. Broughton. Rioli dumped. No free. He was jumped on. Face pushed into the turf. Get a ball up at 1:35 left in the opening term.
Wasn't that just indicative of the instinct of Cyril Rioli? He's on the boundary line. He taps the ball. He taps it inside. He doesn't
and chases the tap himself.
That's right. He's not looking for the comfort of the boundary line.
Guerra left it behind. Hooked up by Shields. Burgoyne. Nice shimmy. Sewell. And Hawthorn run the open side. Birchall thought about heading here. Now he does. Flicks it wide. Well worked, Smith. Really motored to get there. And a chance for a late score for Hawthorn.
No chance of a hit-up lead, though, because there's 3, 4, 5 loose Dockers in the 50 just filling up the hole, so you've got to go long.
Well, Hale's down there. He's the tallest option. 4 to beat. Off hands. Brust beats a couple. Out to Puopolo. Sidestep. Back to Brust. He sidesteps. Out to Shields. Kick smothered. Smith lays a tackle. Still a good spot for a ball up for Hawthorn with 46 seconds left.
A bit happening down here, boys. Ross Lyons made his way down to the bench, and I'm pretty sure he's gone straight for Zach Dawson, and Zach's getting some pretty firm advice here.
I think he's used to that firm advice, Zach. He's had it from a few coaches over time.
This is special, this one.
Okay. Mitchell flicks it out. This works well. Franklin on the left, hacks it towards goal, and instead of trying to go high, he tried to go low, bounce it through, didn't work.
Well, it was on target, but that's what happens when you chance the ball bouncing.
Just having a look at some of their forwards. De Boer's had 2 possessions. Maines had none. And Hayden Ballantyne, who is essentially pushing up as a 6th or 5th forward into the midfield, still yet to touch the Sherrin.
Good kick.
Duffield to Ibbotson. Will they mop up this last 20 seconds, Fremantle? Hugs the boundary. Pavlich down there. Beaten by Birchall, who got hands on it. Sewell, a look away handball to Gibson. Rioli. We're down to 6 seconds. Lewis feeds it to Guerra. He needs to hit a target. He goes long for goal. That'll do. But bounces and rolls across the face on the siren. Still a reasonable quarter at the office for Hawthorn. Quarter time, Aurora Stadium, round 8 clash between the Hawks pushing to make their way inside the top 8 with a victory against Fremantle, who have a spot right now in 6th. And the Hawks hold sway by 13. A goalless opening term to the Dockers. The Hawks 2-4-16. Fremantle 3 behinds.